What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 review. So today, as we bring back the Mistress of the Dark for another PRLostGalaxy2014 review, we're taking a look at Neca Toys' Commando Elvira, inspired by Elvira going commando against her Uncle Vinny in the third and final act of the 1988 Elvira Mistress of the Dark feature film, which I have seen countless of times and would watch. And yeah, you know, again, the 1988 Elvira movie is a cult classic and all. Although I didn't initially grow up on Elvira in her movie, but her movie grew on me as I got older and, you know, as a 90s, you know, baby, 2000, you know, 90s born, 2000s raised, 2010s adult, but you know what I mean. But I got this Commando Elvira months ago at Target, not so long ago, back in April or May of this year. When Target had it, I was like, oh shit, Commando Elvira, gotta get this, because and I was surprised that Neca was going to do this figure of Elvira when she went commando on her uncle, when her uncle was like possessed by the book, which is the, you know, the most famous accessory and MacGuffin piece of the movie and part of the movie's plot, because about this book, which, well, we'll go over anyway, even though it's not the Necronomicon from the Evil Dead franchise or anything, but you know, we have that. You know, there's two new accessories for this Elvira, face, you know, swappable faceplate notwithstanding. We'll go over that too. And because I got this alongside a Spawn figure that also went commando, not like Commando Spawn for Mortal Kombat 11, which I've already reviewed a while ago, but the Spawn that had him in his Call of Duty getup, which I'll go over, you know, later. And I thought, all right, you know, Call of Duty Spawn, Commando Elvira. What a great combination of battle readiness. Now, it would have been great if we had Elvira as a guest character on a Call of Duty game or something. And can you imagine now that, you know, when you think about the fact I got Commando Spawn from MK11, you got Commando Spawn and Commando Elvira. So, all right, let's do that. Like, I fucking hate that. I was trying to do a Spawn voice impression, but oh my god, everybody. So here's the front of the package for Commando Elvira with a render from the movie with her with the RPG rocket launcher, and then here's the figure. You know, it's the same figure as the primary Elvira that I've already went over not so long ago. But it's just her in her battle damaged cut up dress and, you know, a sleeve ripped off, just like in the movie in the third act of the film. You can see some smudges of dirt in her, you know, cleavage, like in the film. But I don't know why her face ain't all dirtied up and stuff and battle ready. Okay, then you got these numbers 3, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Okay, that's a little and then you got a render, another figure render of Elvira and Commando. But I do like this render of Elvira wielding the, you know, the bazooka. And man, I think I might keep this box for a while just to do a little authentic print scan of the box. And oh yeah, that's right, I also threw away the last Elvira figure box, but whatever. With that being said, everybody, let's see what Elvira got going commando. for lack of a better term. I know I'm lacking a pun, the joke, you know, throw after the figure, but you get what I mean. Let's get on with it though. Okay, now that we got Commando Elvira out of the package, we're gonna go over a couple of things before we do the figure. So first, we're going to talk about the base stand. So the base stand, well, when I get the other two Elviras that I plan on getting, well, Red Fright and Boo, it will be next afterwards. So this is the base stand that we had from the last one that we saw with Cassandra Peterson's Elvira signature official signature on it. So, you know, you have that display piece, and then we have a swappable faceplate, which, you know, again, a couple of collector figures have been doing this. So here's another here's a face of Elvira you can switch out for, but you know, I mind this faceplate, but it almost looks like the face that we already had on the main figure, which yeah, it could to some angles in some degree the same faceplate. And but it's a little different because you see more transparency of the teeth on this face as you had on like the primary Elvira figure. the 40th anniversary figure, so that's different. Next is this that book, and that book that was somewhat integral to the movie plot. The book that Elvira's uncle wanted so badly, and what was so special about the book? Because again, I've seen the movie plenty of times. Unfortunately, the book does not open up because it's just a little plastic book accessory. It's also bendable too. It's made of plastic, and it feels like that type of book that later on, like we would see later with the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus, Disney's Hocus Pocus would have. But can you imagine NECA Toys doing I wouldn't be surprised. Now we got Elvira in my collection of figures of characters I like, especially female witch characters. Imagine NECA Toys doing a 3-pack of the Sanderson sisters from Disney's Hocus Pocus, and imagine if they ever did toys for that. Am I right? Yeah, so we have this book, and it's well made and crafted straight out of the movie too. Then you have Elvira's RPG rocket launcher, like in the movie. Now, at first, prior to recording the video, this portion of the video, I didn't really get this right at first, because I thought this would be this way when the rockets would come out this way, and boom. I should have paid more attention to where the handle is. The handle, having her hold the bazooka launcher is like this way and not this way. I don't know what I was thinking at first at the time. I should have just paid more attention to detail, especially based on what was on the render of the back of the box. And now we take a look at Commando Elvira, and looking at this figure, it's the same as the primary figure, and I hope we don't have no wardrobe malfunction again. And we have some detail of some dirt on her boobs. Then you have that, what is it, bat or spider symbol on her arm that Cassandra would have in real life as Elvira. And then, because again, like in the movie, this is how she looked during her last fight, her fight with her uncle when she was freed from the teenagers that helped her when everybody in town was trying to burn Elvira to hell, because they looked at her, she was perceived as a witch, because again, spoilers for Elvira Mistress of the Dark, 1988, that movie, the first Elvira movie, and how and then how her entire outfit was just wrecked and torn up and stuff. We can also get some detail on tears on the stocking here, so they did a good job painting in some detail on some tears and holes on the stockings, and I don't think there's no tears or holes on this leg of the stocking here either, so that's it. But I do like the facial likeness of Elvira on this figure. I mean, nothing against the figure, nothing against the this face of Elvira, but I just kind of feel like had we had another NECA Toys Elvira figure, I wish they would repurpose this head, but also this wasn't a replaceable face head. And I really do like this Elvira head a lot. Not saying there's nothing wrong with the one that I have on the primary figure, but I really do like this head though. I mean, it really brings that sexy, that sexy smile on her face and whatnot. So there you go. And then because again, when people think of her going commando, they thought she was going a bit, she was homaging Sylvester Stallone with Rambo. Even though I've never seen the Rambo movies, I know about Rambo, the Stallone character, but I've never seen any of the movies though. But I get where she was, I get where Cassandra was referencing when she was, for like Elvira's little commando moment, homaging, Stallone and possibly Arnold. Even though Commando was Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie and Rambo was Stallone's movie. And so for her to pay respect and homage to those two those action movie legends, she had to pay homage to mainly Stallone with Rambo. Some of Schwarzenegger from Commando, because again, I've seen Commando plenty of times and it's still one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. And I just think she did, I think they did a good job paying respect to that part of the movie where she did go commando. And speaking of, now we just got to take a good iconic long look of that moment when she went commando with that bazooka. Yeah, and plus, I've noticed that when I get the other Elvira figures that NECA did, the daggers are going to fall out of the dress. I know, out of the course. So here's that iconic moment of Elvira going commando as like it's shown on the box. And like in the movie when she was all like, "You looking for me?" And then she would take that bazooka and try to shoot at her uncle who was acting all demonic and stuff, and then she blows out some smoke. And then we had that very iconic shot of her, you know, when the camera had a good badass moment with her with that smoke in the background, and you know, like in the movie, you gotta get some light. And yeah, have the camera, even in toy form, we got that close up of her face like that. Okay, so now that we took a look at that glance of her with this, well, we already know some of the articulation features, because also I gotta be careful because, you know, revealing boobage and stuff, because I don't want another wardrobe malfunction again, just like last time. So we already know some of the articulation features with the arms, with the elbow crunch, you know, with the elbow crunch and stuff. So you got your elbow crunch on this arm because this is just still sleeved. And again, with the revealing boobage, I'm trying not to make that mistake from last time. You got elbow crunch on this arm. You can move somewhat, but this time, unlike the fully clothed Elvira, take the bazooka out for a moment. I don't know if you can lift her arm up a little. No, because I also gotta be careful because this figure is a little fragile with the arm movement, and also due to the hair, due to this the strand of the hair, I don't think you can move it that much. And plus, and also the way how they sculpted this, sculpted the fingers on this hand. Would it be funny if we had a little custom, a custom hand for Elvira where she would have did the middle finger, but the way how they just had it like that is just like, can you imagine Elvira flipping us off? Like, can you imagine that? Then we know about, for like what we had from the last figure, the knee crunch. So the knee crunch on this, because this is as far as her, you know, knees can bend and go. And then even on this leg too. But I also noticed that for the feet, the left, my right foot of her Commando figure is a little bent. I don't know how that happened when I got her out of the box, because I didn't have this problem on the primary figure, but I don't know why did I get a bent right foot. That's not good. I mean, but then again, this is still a good figure of Elvira, all battle ready and want to, you know, nuke somebody with an RPG. But you know, again, this is like the only time Elvira will ever have a weapon. And can you imagine having her as a playable character in a fighting game, like let's say Mortal Kombat, and imagine in the next Mortal Kombat we get, or I don't know, and if Elvira was a playable character via DLC and she had this getup from the movie, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But, you know, again, having an action figure of her going commando is a great feat for any Elvira fan, and especially, you know, Neca collectors and stuff, especially if you're fans, especially if you're a fan of 80s movies. I also noticed that on the skirt of the dress, there's a little cut up hole right over here, which I didn't notice either, because again, they had to pay attention. And even cut up holes right on like the sleeve of the dress, you know, her outfit too. So I didn't know that either. So I just had to make sure it stayed, you know, if there was any details I missed earlier. So I had to point that out as soon as possible. So yeah, so in last call and last thoughts on this figure, this is a good rendition of Elvira. And you know, while I do like the figure, even though it's a great, you know, great addition to my Elvira collection, you know, it would have been great if we had another Neca Elvira figure. If they repurposed this head with that smiling face from this figure, but onto this Elvira, but if that's ever, you know, possible. So with that being said, I really like it. So I have another Elvira I got in my storage unit, but I'll review that later. It's Red Fright and Boo, but it's really more of a 4th of July figure, but I'll go over that later. So that's it for my review on Commando Elvira. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and be sure to, you know, make sure that whenever I upload a new video, be notified and be posted, and hit that ring notification whenever I upload a new video. So with that being said, thanks for watching.